The Tesla Model S isn't like most cars. For a start, the company's main showroom is right here in the middle of a shopping centre in Westfield in West London. The car itself is a little bit different as well. The numbers offer something really quite special. It can do 0 to 60 in as little as 4.2 seconds. Oh, and the other crucial thing is it is totally electric with a range of up to 312 miles. To see whether all these claims are just claims, we've brought a team of What Car readers along to put them to the test.
I travel to California quite a lot and I've seen these out there already and they're really impressive to see on the road. You know, there's some European design flair in there. Seeing what's under the body, it's impressive by how little is there actually. Technically, it's quite amazing that nobody's really done this already. Acceleration is just phenomenal. I've never felt anything like it, to the point where I was slightly worried about getting a speeding ticket. You can just go so quickly from 30 to 40, it's literally split seconds. One thing I didn't touch on actually is the regenerative braking. That's quite shocking when you first use it. You know, just taking your foot off the accelerator, how quickly it slows down compared to a petrol or a diesel car. That takes a bit of getting used to the point where I actually asked for it to be turned off for a while. Then I put it back on, I got used to it, but then I ended up on a dual carriageway and forgot about it, and all of a sudden I almost had a car in the back of me. I do a 100-mile commute, and if you get a BMW i3 or one of the Renaults or a Nissan Leaf, you're scared. You know, in the winter, you're not going to get home. My company doesn't have a charge point. With this car, 250 miles, easily, you might even get 2 days out of it. It's the first electric car that can actually do that for me. So I'd be quite happy to live with this car. The only thing that irked me slightly is I felt that screen in the middle felt a little bit vulgar. I thought the finish in general in the interior was good, felt very car-like, and my personal preference would be to be able to de-specify that. Maybe make that an option, or make there an option where that wasn't quite so prominent.
It was a great car to drive actually. The moment I got in it, it feels really good actually when you're inside. But the moment you put your foot down and you're steering it and you're pulling away, it feels absolutely great. I mean, I would drive a manual normally. This is equivalent to an automatic to some degree, but I actually thought it felt very, very easy to drive, almost easier than other automatics that I've driven. So I'm not really used to automatics. I found it absolutely brilliant. So I live in Cornwall, and you know, I might drive to Exeter, and the car would be there for a few days, and I'd go away for meetings, and I'd travel back again. I think I would be a little bit concerned about whether or not I would be able to do that, and how I would charge it in the interim, and whether or not I could leave it charging somewhere for like 3 or 4 days at a time. So obviously there's quite a lot of technology in the car. Obviously you've got the big screen in the centre console, but which stands out, so clearly everyone's going to notice and comment on that. The bit that I sort of noticed really was the speedometer there, which is what I'd concentrate on most. If you're driving in London, you're trying to monitor your speed and what's going on. And I thought it could be a little bit more clear, particularly in the sort of 0 to 80, 0 to 100 sort of range. So that would be something that would actually be severely off-putting, even whether this was a Tesla or not, basically.
It took a little while just to get used to the size, because it's a big car, but very quickly adjusted to that. Comfort-wise, perfect on London streets. You know, going over the bumps and potholes, they just smoothed out. So I thought the ride with setting was excellent. And then when we got to some nice quiet roads, we did some 0 to 50 type things where it's squirting down the road, and it's just like, wow. You know it's got some serious acceleration to it. Steering was responsive. You know, it's not sports driving, you're driving around London, so you can't say the handling's brilliant one way or other, but for that kind of driving it was perfect. Did notice obviously because of the rake at the back, you got slightly less visibility out the back than you would normally, but not enough to be an issue at all. I was actually surprised that I wasn't distracted by the screen, because you know, I'd probably have the sat nav on it, but all the other things you could have on it. You can see that there's a learning curve, but things like, okay, let's play with the sunroof to get that to co-open, and I love that you just put it where you want. And I think getting to the screen that did the sunroof, you need to know what steps, like you would on a PC or something. Once you knew it, it'd be very intuitive. Practicality-wise, huge storage space. I love the rear-facing seats for the kids. You know, I've got 4 kids, so I could easily fit them all in here and go on holiday, or pop up the shops, or go and do the sort of 200-mile journey up to Manchester. The only negativity I had about it was the space for tall people in the back. But you know, I'm 6'4", so you know, most people aren't my height, so I can't see that being an issue for most people. I like the fact that it's got all this other stuff like communicating with Tesla, so they would know, you know, if your motor's playing up and those kind of things. They'll update software if they find a better way to do things. They start at 50 grand and go upwards. You know, by the time you add all the bits and pieces you might want, you could be talking 70, 80 grand fairly easily. And then you start to go, well, that's, you know, what else do you get for 80 grand?
It's quite a sharp design, much better in the flesh than I thought than any of the pictures I've seen. It's not really American at all. It's quite European styling-wise in terms of the frameless doors and everything. It's got quite a sporty feel to it. But then it is really a sports car. And when you sit in it, you realise that. Well, I was expecting a big American car that was very comfortable, but perhaps a little bit ungamey to drive. It's much more a sports car than you think. It's superb to drive, even on the streets out in London. I felt very confident in it really straight away. The low-speed driving around London was surprisingly similar to the Leaf. So peaceful, very smooth. Obviously, Tesla has quite a bit more kick in it when you put your foot down, but yeah, generally pretty good considering they've designed it from the ground up. It is worthy of its Mercedes and BMW competitors. I think the base price, I dare say, I think it's fairly reasonable considering the technology involved.
The Tesla Model S starts at just over £50,000, but if you put all the options on and go for the top version, then you can end up spending around £100,000, although that does include the £5,000 government low emission grant. Now, this is the only physical place that you can look at and buy a Tesla at the moment, although there are plans to open another 7 dealerships in the next 18 months, and because the company has an absolutely no discounts policy, you can still buy one on their website for exactly the same price. And while you're on the internet, do check out our road test of the car, which is live on whatcar.com right now.